Hello, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages. Welcome once again to the Real World Prepper. If you like the content you see here, I encourage you to click that subscribe button and the bell notification so you'll know every time we upload new content. Thanks for joining. Now on with this video. The Prepper Spectrum. What do I mean? Who do you think you are? Is another possible title. The Prepper Spectrum. Who do you think you are? Well, this episode is going to address and talk about preppers and the types of preppers. Now, this is not going to be an all-encompassing example of preppers or foray of examples of preppers. This is going to be just some that just from looking at other prepper videos and you know, list videos. I like list videos, but this is not an official list video. And also from my own experiences, this is just garnering different types, and also from some experiences firsthand I've had with communications with other preppers and etc. This also will apply to people who are not preppers. Some of you guys who may be watching this channel that are not preppers but want to begin to get into it and learn more about it, and maybe this will give you an idea of where you fall on the prepper spectrum as a new prepper or as a, you know, long time professional prepper, expert prepper, so to speak. First of all, let me say that I don't think any of us are experts. I think that in some of these examples that I'm going to share with you, and again, this is not all inclusive, okay? These are just some thoughts I had, and I jotted some of them down, some ideas I had, and some of them, again, I got some of these ideas from other sources, and some came right to my own little brain. But I would say, I'm going to preface all of it by saying that we as preppers, those who are taking it seriously and who mean it seriously, should sort of have a little bit of all of this to some degree or another, or at least be more than one, okay? And you'll see why as we go through them. Now, listen, these are in no particular order, guys. I thought about kind of maybe making it a particular order and a ranking or something, but I thought, no, that's not going to do that, because all that's going to do is show my bias on it, and I do not want to marginalize or categorize anybody who's doing something, even if I think they should be doing more, or they should be doing less of one given thing, or they should not focus on this, or they should focus on that. That somebody would change the rut of their lives and actually do something to be prepared. To me, that's why I'm here on this channel, to encourage people to better themselves, better their preparations for them and their families. Okay, so again, in no particular order for that reason mainly. And here we go. Let's start off firstly with what I've already said, the new prepper. Okay, new preppers. They you know, these may be some of you guys watching. I know some of you guys watching are definitely not new preppers, but some of you guys watching may be. And new preppers often they need help, they need attention. You know, you're going to make rookie mistakes in all kinds of ways. You may focus more on you know, let's say you focus a whole bunch on learning bushcraft skills, right? But you don't have anything put up, or you focus on buying a bunch of gear, you know, but you don't know how to do bushcraft skills, or you plant you a garden, you know, but you don't store up any water or have any weaponry or whatever. Not to mention the fact that you could, you know, spend exorbitant amounts of money on things that aren't necessary, or at least that are in terms of priority should come later. Because think about this, what do you need to survive, new preppers out there, and anybody for that matter? How many days can you go without food? You know, some say 3 or 4 weeks, you know, maybe longer. I mean, I I don't know, not much longer, I would imagine, but how many days are you going to go without water? It's about 3 or 4, you know. So first is water. You need water, you need food, you need shelter, you need first aid, you know, you need protection, you need a plan, you need a group. It's just touching on some of the very, very basic most things. In a shtf scenario, that is when the shit hits the fan, the new preppers, for other preppers, if you have a group and new preppers are part of it, they can be a cost and a liability to you in some ways. But if they're prepping, they're willing to help people because they're willing to help themselves in the general sense of things. So new preppers, you're encouraged to don't let this is not to be discouraging to you. This is to just allow you the opportunity to open your eyes up to some bigger things. All right, again, in no particular order, the I'm in charge prepper, the I got this all figured out prepper, the you know, the shit hits the fan, or even when it doesn't, this guy's telling you all about what we're going to do. We're going to do this, and we're going to do that, and y'all got to do that, and you got to go over here and do this, and then you got to come up with this. You know, usually these guys have a lot of gear, a lot of stuff, and they know everything. And, you know, I mean, you guys know these guys in your everyday life. The I'm in charge guy, right? The gun and gear preppers, right? These are tactical, you know. These are the guys who have all kinds of fancy gear, you know, night vision and optics and badass rifles and you know, just gear. You know, they can strap it all on. They can look like they stepped right off of a SWAT truck, or, you know, or whatever, a deuce and a half full of troops, and their, you know, G.I. Joe theme going behind them, American flag fluttering behind them, you know. At least that's in their minds. These guys typically neglect other things, and like in a lot of instances, and look, I'm generalizing here. This is not everybody, okay, that falls into this category, but, you know, if you got a guy like that, a guy or girl like that, who's a gun and gear guy or girl who has all this good stuff, right? They typically are not going to have, they're not going to be honed in on the other aspects of prepping that they're going to need to be. Then you got your bug-in guys, or your homestead style guys, or bushcraft. I'm going to kind of put this all together because these are guys who are going to stay put, who plan to stay put. A lot of them do have good skills, gardening and fashioning rope and lashings and building things out of nature, you know, shelters, this, that, and the other. Maybe even, I forget what you call that, but with the little Y-shaped stick, you know, you find the water and all that. I don't know. Maybe that. They're good at farming, many of them, collecting water. This is actually a good person to know, good people to know, good people to be a part of a group. The only fallback to this person is, can they hold their ground? If they cannot hold their ground, you know, this is a prepper who is not designed to bug out. Maybe the bushcraft guy, okay, but the bushcraft guy, in a soul sense, in an alone sense, is a lone wolf, you know, typically. So maybe him, and he's not going to make it that long because, frankly, as you guys have heard me say, community, community, community. So you're not going to, I don't believe, get too far along without community. But your homestead, bug-in kind of guys, farming type of guys, you know, great people to know with great skills. But you guys should also make sure that you have defense, even offense, as part of your preps, and focusing on that, as well as a decent bug out plan should you have to get on down from where you are. How about the too talkative prepper? One might argue that those of us that are on YouTube talking about prepping are the too talkative preppers. One might argue that. One might be wrong. I do this stuff because I want to help you guys. I want to share it. And yes, I do enjoy doing it, okay? I do, or I wouldn't do it. But mainly, it's because I feel like I have been called to share this stuff. And But the too talkative prepper is the guy who jumps on the bandwagon at some point, and then he goes and tells everybody, hey man, guess what I just got, man? That's right, I just bought 40 buckets of food, bro. This stuff's gonna last me 40 years, you know, and I mean, blah blah blah, you know, and I got 17 bazookas and 42 AR-15s and, you know, 1,000,000 rounds of ammunition, but don't tell anybody. And then they go to the next guy and tell him the same thing, you know. I know one of these, actually. So, and by contrast, I know the opposite of that, too. Keep in mind, too, there's not a perfect prepper anywhere, okay? The bug out guy, he's the guy who his only plan, his sole plan is to bug out, okay? That's it. I mean, it may be, you know, it may be that something goes down in a major city nearby, right? And he's got a pretty decent rural or at least sub-rural, you know, setup with water and goods and even a garden and a perimeter and maybe a small group around him. I'm kind of speaking of personal, again, someone I know. Excuse me. But by gosh, you know, he's bugging out. He's bugging out. You know, if something happens, he's packing it all up and going on down the road. I'm not knocking the bug out idea. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking the bug out idea. But if something happens that would warrant a state of emergency, right, to the level of which we're talking about as preppers, I don't think that's a decision that is to be made immediately if there's not immediate threat or danger to you and your location, your home or your home base or your bugged in location. I think that a bug out plan should be part of the plan, should be a contingency in your plan, but I don't think it should be the plan just for plan's sake. We talked about the tactical. I guess I doubled down. I said the in-charge prepper earlier, and now I have tactical, but it's kind of the same thing. Typically on specifically these tactical guys, they've got all this cool gear, and they just definitely don't know how to use it. Now, I'm here to tell you, I am no expert in any of this stuff. As you've probably heard me say in other videos, I am not a military guy. You know, I don't have any kind of training like that. I do my best to train as often as I can with my weapons and with my skills and things that I do. You know, some training is better than none, but typically these guys have more gear than they have training, and certainly than they have sense, some of them. Then you've got the doomsday preppers, and these are the guys, if you ever watched that show, Doomsday Preppers, you know, I think the producers of that show sought out the nuttiest people they could find who are preppers, and then tried to showcase them as the nuttiest people they could find as preppers. You know, so they found them that way, and they perpetuated that thing. And again, it's not to say that you watch any of these episodes, not to say these guys are not, you know, don't have good ideas and good preps and all that. Some of them do. But I don't know, they seem a little overzealous, and many of them that I saw, I didn't watch a whole bunch of them. A buddy of mine has the series on DVD, and we borrowed one night and watched about 6 or 8 episodes, and the majority of the people I saw were overweight, overly confident. Reminds me of check this video out, the 28 Inconvenient Truths About the End of the World as We Know It. It's one of my videos. They remind me of one of those. The guy, or it reminds me of one of them, one of those 28 things that says, gosh, I don't remember, guys. It was something about just, you know, as prepared as you think you are, you overestimate how prepared you are, or you underestimate what's going to happen, something to that effect. And these guys strike me as that. Typically, these guys are hoarders. They've got, you know, 10 years worth of food and canning and stuff stored up, literally stored in you know, school buses buried underground and all kind of stuff. And I'm not saying that's a bad idea, but if you get all your eggs in one basket and some fox comes in the hen house and runs off with that one basket, you know, or takes it over. Anyway, you got the bushcraft off-gritter. I think we talked about that. Like I say, I kind of doubled up on some of these. You got the know-it-alls. They know. When I say the know-it-alls, these are not the same as the I'm in charge preppers. The know-it-alls are the guys who can tell you all of the right answers about tactical positioning and situational awareness and perimeter and security and making water clean to drink and where to find foraging for berries, the right ones to eat, and all this kind of stuff. They know all this stuff, book knowledge in their brain wise, but they don't typically have any practical application because they don't apply it anywhere. Okay. Then there's the non-prepper, and I say the non-prepper because these are the guys. Let's call them the FEMA prepper. Let's not say non-prepper. Let's call them the FEMA prepper. The FEMA prepper is the prepper who I don't knock, but needs to open their eyes to the bigger picture. Okay, because it's not about something happens, a few days of toughness, then your benevolent federal government comes in and takes care of things. The FEMA prepper is the one who does have the 72 hours worth of food, water, medical supplies, or some shortened, condensed version of that, 72 hours or maybe 2 weeks worth or whatever. But they stop it at that point because they say, well, we're going to prep for enough time, to go by to where when we know that within that reasonable time frame, somebody's going to come help us. You can't, I don't think, always depend on somebody coming to help you. This country's back is broken, and so I think sooner rather than later, guys, and this is kind of a light video, so I don't want to get too heavy on this, but, we're going to see a situation arise where they're not coming to help us. There's nobody coming. There's nobody coming. You got the wannabes who just basically will parrot anything that anybody else says. I'm just brushing over that one quickly. And then you got what I call the practical prepper. And to me, the practical prepper is the real world prepper. I am a practical prepper. I'm the real world prepper by my channel's namesake. But these are people who have jobs, mortgages, kids, responsibilities, regular life goes on, but you always think about little things you can be doing to add to your family's safety, security, and health, and building your community at the same time, and literally thinking about world events and everything going on around you, not just a storm that may blow through, a hurricane blowing through Florida, or something to that effect, but thinking about all things, what your government's up to, what world governments are up to, what local governments are up to, what weather patterns are being manipulated, what the list goes on and on and on and on. And again, don't be consumed by it. Be consumed by God and let Him lead you, but be practical. In the same way that you go to work and you pay your bills and you keep your debt down or eliminate it altogether, you make smart purchases, you make smart preps, you rotate this stuff, you use this stuff, you practice with this stuff when you can, you enjoy life, you enjoy your family, you do your best to do all of these things, a well-rounded individual, practical prepper. Now, again, that was a little list in no particular order, and definitely not all-inclusive of the different types of preppers. The prepper spectrum. And, or again, the subtitle, who do you think you are? So tell me in the comments, who do you think you are? What kind of prepper do you think you are? Feel free to leave it in the comments. Leave any criticism in the comments if you want to. Thumbs up it, thumbs down it, whatever you like. If you like this video, come back for the next one. I hope to have one soon. And thanks for joining us on The Real World Prepper. Bye-bye.